time is 7:01. I think with that, Gosha, do we have everyone that kind of confirmed to you that they were coming?
The two members that are not here did confirm their attendance, so they may be on their way, but I have.
They can just jump in where we're at the time. With that, let's call to order. Welcome everyone to the meeting of the Wooddale Community Development Commission. My name is Jamie Ochoa, and I am the chairman for the Wooddale Community Development Commission. Ms. Secretary, can we please do a roll call?
Yes. Mr. Ochoa.
Here.
Mr. Woods.
Here.
Mr. Babowitz.
Here.
Ms. Zatko. Here. Mr. Damasco, Mr. Peterson, and, I'm sorry, I didn't see you come in, sorry. Okay, we have a quorum.
We have a quorum present. Okay, with that, let's move on to business items. First, we need a motion to approve the meetings from our last meeting from September 20th, 2021. Can I get someone to make a motion, please?
Make a motion to approve the minutes of September 20th, 2021.
Can I get a second?
I'll second it.
All in favor saying yes, all opposed stating no.
Yes.
Yes.
Motion carries. Minutes are approved. Now with that, we'll move on to our public hearing. Mr. Conway, as chairman, I request that you kindly serve as the public hearing facilitator.
Certainly. All right, I'd just like to make a couple prefatory remarks before we get into the public hearing. For our public hearings, all testimony will be given under oath. At the hearing, there'll be an opportunity for the public to offer testimony and to comment. Following the public hearing, the CDC's deliberations will be open to the public in the sense that all are invited to listen and watch. The public, however, may not speak during our deliberations. Staff will provide a general description of the proposal, followed by their analysis. We ask that the applicant here tonight then give specific evidence to demonstrate that the proposal meets the standards of approval for the request. The burden is on the applicant to prove the case. With respect to others who wish to speak, you may give an opinion or present specific evidence as to why you believe the applicant meets or fails to meet the standards for the request. Finally, we will strictly adhere to the schedule prepared for tonight's meeting. However, those wishing to submit evidence and testimony will be afforded sufficient time within which to do so. Whether you are a member of the public wishing to make a statement for the record or a witness testifying on behalf of the applicant, you will be placed under oath and then begin by stating your name and address. You will be subject to questions by the Community Development Commission and potential cross-examination by the applicant. To allow as many people as possible to be heard, we would request that your remarks be limited to 5 minutes. If additional time is needed, the hearing will be continued until the next available hearing date. Okay, I will call tonight's matter. It's the only matter that's on the docket. This is CDC 2021-04. This case involves a request for a lot consolidation and a rezoning map amendment to rezone residential property from an R1 residential zoning classification to an R4 residential zoning classification. The subject property is located at 17 West 102 Stoneham Street. It will be known as 469 Stoneham Street upon annexation. The zoning application has been filed by Samir Georgis, who is the owner of the property. Staff, please provide a summary of the request and indicate when notice of the hearing was published and whether you have the certificate of publication from the newspaper.
Would you raise your right hand, state your name and address, please?
Gosha Pocheha, City of Wooddale, 404 North Wooddale Road in Wooddale, Illinois.
Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do. Thank you. I will move on to our location map. So as it was just described, the petition in front of us is a request for essentially voluntary annexation to the City of Wooddale, which will be considered by the City Council. And as part of the process, the petitioner has requested rezoning of the property from R1, which is the default zoning for any property that is being annexed to the city, and also lot consolidation. This is just a location map that we have on the projector right now. We are at the northeast corner of Stoneham and Poplar Avenue, and this property is kind of towards the northeast edge of the city. It is directly adjacent to the property to the north, which is 409 Poplar Avenue, is part of the city, as are the properties that are across the street on the west side. This is just a zoning map, just to kind of give you some reference. As you can see, majority of the district, especially to the west, is zoned R4. So the request to rezone the property to R4 would be to bring it into conformance, consistency with the surrounding zoning district. The properties that are to the east and to the south are currently unincorporated DuPage County. The existing conditions of the property, this is a single-family residence. The property itself consists of 2 lots. One of them houses the building that is on our photograph. The other one is the lot directly to the north of it. It is vacant, but essentially serves as a backyard to the property. We did talk about the addressing. So the existing address, 17 West 102, which is the unincorporated address. We will be renaming or reassigning an address once it is annexed into the city. So the address that's been assigned will be 469 Stoneham. The property, once the 2 lots are combined, is about 0.3 acres, so it's almost 13,000 square feet. And I did mention it does consist currently of 2 lots that will be consolidated. This is just a platter survey, just for reference. Again, we saw a photograph, but this is essentially our property. This is both of the lots that will be combined together. The red line over here actually shows the separation between the 2 lots. You can't really see it on this slide, but the detached garage actually covers both of the lots. There is a portion of the garage that is onto the north, so that's another reason why the petition for lot consolidation was presented, because the lots by themselves do not meet the setback requirements and so on. This is the outline of the single-family residence that's on the lot, and then this is the detached garage that's on there. In terms of the lot consolidation, as I mentioned, we do have the 2 lots. The only thing that's non-compliant in terms of the zoning requirements is the depth of the lot. The R4, as most of our zoning districts actually require 150 feet, I believe. Let me double check. That is correct. 150 feet for the lot depth. But as you can see, those residential districts, actually all of the blocks that are on that street are 135. So this is an established lot depth. Moving on to the compliance with the comprehensive plan, the subject property is designated as single-family residential on the future land use map. This request for annexation and rezoning and lot consolidation will help the city achieve Goal 2 and Objective 6 of the comprehensive plan, which specifically talks about supporting annexations, whether it's commercial or residential, into the city of Wooddale. Compliance with the UDO or our zoning ordinance. In terms of allowable uses, this is a residential lot. The request is to rezone it from R1 to R4, which is consistent with the UDO. It's also consistent with the surrounding district, so we're trying to make it match the existing district that's there. Lot development standards, we talked about, we have the 2 lots that would be non-conforming by themselves. We're combining them, consolidating them into one to bring it closer to meeting the standards. And building type 4 would be applicable. The actual table comparison of the lot standards is in the staff memo on page 3. And in terms of the recommendation, CD staff recommends that the CDC committee recommend approval of the lot consolidation and the rezoning to R4, as we find that it's consistent with the comprehensive plan and also with the UDO and the standards for approval for the final plat of subdivision. Thank you.
Okay, does any member of the CDC have any questions for staff?
Yeah, on page 4, subdivision plat standards, could you explain that a little better? I mean, this sounds very negative.
Yes, so.
And then I go to page 5, and you're recommending it.
That is correct. So the way the standards are written, and I will read this specifically, the Community Development Commission may recommend approval of a lot consolidation unless it makes finding of the following standards. So the way the standards are written, they're the negative. So in other words, CDC could not recommend approval if these standards were met, which I know it's a little bit different is based on when we had standards for zoning variations, they're kind of complete opposite of this. This is just the way the standards are written in our code. So the idea here is that the proposed lot consolidation or lot subdivision doesn't meet these. If it doesn't meet it, it means that CDC may recommend approval.
So then if it's approved, then it falls under a different set of standards that have to be approved.
Not quite sure if I follow. I don't know if,
Well, I understand what you're saying now about it not being, the
Yes.
standards aren't there. But if it goes to R4, there's a separate set of standards, right?
well, so Lot 4 has lot development standards, which are in a different section of our code.
Okay.
These specifically are only for the lot consolidation. So the rezoning part doesn't have specific standards of approval based on our zoning. So we have to look at in general, at the conformance with the comprehensive plan, and we have to look in general at the conformance with the UDO. However, the rezoning component to R4 does not have standards of approval that need to be met. So we don't have a similar list for rezoning. We only have it for things like lot consolidation or subdivision, plat of subdivision.
And Mr. Babowitz, if I could just sort of piggyback on what Gosha is, we actually have two things that you're determining tonight.
Right.
The lot consolidation piece. And so what these standards are, and Gosha's absolutely correct, they're written in the negative. And essentially, if you think one of these apply, then there should be no lot consolidation. Then there's the separate request for the rezoning from the R1 to the R4. And so that has a different set of standards.
That's what I understand
Yeah,
now.
yeah. And does that clear that up a little
Yes.
bit? Okay. Any other questions from any other member for staff?
I have a quick question. Why do we use the address on Stoneham rather than Poplar? Just out of curiosity.
Usually we work with the applicant, so we kind of gave an option. The existing address is Stoneham, so we wanted to give the option to stay with the Stoneham. It would be the number that changed.
Good enough.
But we did consider both, so that's a good question.
Okay, any other questions for staff? Okay, and sir, are you the applicant?
Yes, I am.
Okay, would you like to say a few words in support of your request? And if so, you could stand up to the podium right over there.
Sir, would you raise your right hand, please? State your name and address.
Sorry. My name is Samir Georges. My address 17 West 102 Stoneham Street in Wooddale, Illinois.
Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Thank you.
Well, my wife and I, we moved to my address, as I mentioned just now, since 2015, July 31st to be exact. And we found out that we had a well and septic tank for services. We didn't know. We bought the house as short sale, so we were not allowed to go and inspect. And it was last minute closing, we find out that, and it was really too late to do anything about it. Anyhow, we've had quite a few issues with wells, water. I have very hard water and very small septic tank. That's why I decided to join the city, if I may, and have, as I call it, just standard, regular services like most of us. And I am committed to follow all the rules and regulation and codes that the city of Wooddale will require. There will be no shortcut or anything like that. Anything will be required, it will be complied with and put it into practice.
Okay, thank you very much. Does anybody, any member of the CDC have a question for the applicant? No? Okay, thank you very much, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, before we close the public hearing, are there any questions that the CDC members have? Remember, this is the time to ask all the questions. Once we close the public hearing, then that's the time just for deliberations between the members. So if you have any questions that you'd like to ask, now would be the time.
Ms. Gosha, any concerns from the neighborhood?
We have not received any comments or questions.
One other thing, Gosha. All right, he wants to hook up the city water and sewer. He's going to have to pay for that, right? And he knows it?
Yes, yes, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. Just don't want you to be shocked.
Okay.
Anyone else?
All right. There being no further questions and no further testimony, I'll now close the public hearing for case number CDC 2021-04. And now we'll proceed to the deliberation portion of the hearing. This is the time for members to discuss amongst one another in terms of your thoughts on the request. And so I will just open the floor for that purpose.
I have no problems with any of it. I'm ready to approve. Do you have any?
No, I'm ready to approve as well.
I think it'll be okay.
Okay. The deliberations being complete, staff has suggested a recommended motion. It's in page 5 of the memo. So what I'll do is what I typically do is I'll read the text of the motion, and any member can say so moved. There will be a second, and remember, just because you move and second doesn't mean you're necessarily in agreement with the request. It's just to get the motion onto the floor. So I'm going to read the motion. Based on the submitted petition and the testimony presented, the proposed lot consolidation and map amendment rezoning is consistent with the Unified Development Ordinance and Comprehensive Plan, and therefore I move that the Community Development Commission adopt the findings of fact included within the staff memo dated November 15th, 2021, as the findings of the Community Development Commission, and recommend to the City Council approval of lot consolidation and a map amendment rezoning for 17 West 102 Stoneham, to be known as 469 Stoneham Street, from R1 residential to R4 residential, in case number CDC 2021-04.
So move.
Okay,
A
is
second.
There's a motion, a second. Any discussion? Okay, can we have a roll call on that, please?
Mr. Babowis?
Yes.
Mr. Damasco?
Yes.
Mr. Ochoa?
Yes.
Ms. Zatko?
Yes.
And Mr. Woods?
Yes.
Okay, the motion passes. The recommendation, sir, just so you know, of the CDC is to approve your request. That recommendation will go to the City Council, and the City Council will have the final say on that, and then you can talk with Gosha about when the timing of all that will occur, okay? All right, thank you very much. Okay, Mr. Chairman, that concludes tonight's hearing matters. I will now cede the floor back to you.
Is there any report from staff?
Just a couple options. So we do have a petition for a special use that was submitted. So that one will be considered during the December 20th. I know I sent out an email a couple weeks ago. We just obviously right before the holidays, we want to make sure we're going to have a quorum. So if anything when your calendar changes or anything like that, please do let me know. But we are anticipating having a meeting on that day, which is the Monday before Christmas, I believe the 20th of December. We may actually have another petition ready for that time, but although the application has not been submitted yet. And I also wanted to take an opportunity to introduce Hayley Nichols. She is, I hope I got the last name right, Nichols. Nicholas, I'm so sorry. Yes, Hayley is our new intern, although new, it's been almost a month now, I think. So she's been a great addition, and we're happy to have her. So this is her first CDC meeting, maybe first of many. But she's been really helpful, so she's kind of looking to get more of the experience into the planning and zoning and whatever we do and all that we do in community development. So I just wanted to officially welcome you, Hayley.
All right, Hayley, welcome aboard. You have an excellent teacher here, so, you know, we're all very, very happy with Ms. Bocheha. She is top-notch. So welcome to the city.
Thank you. And I believe that's all we have, unless there's any specific questions.
No questions.
Thank you.
All right, with that, I think we'll proceed with, we need a motion to adjourn.
So move.
Second.
Woo-hoo. All right, all in favor say yes, and all opposed stating no.
Yes.
Motion carries. This meeting's